I apologize. Last week with the holiday, I just completely forgot the dates. The fight was coming up, so we got to Monday. We're doing our planning for the weekend. It's like, oh crap, I forgot to hit up Sam for the fight. So I appreciate you doing this with the fight literally days away.
No, I prefer it this way. If we set it up beforehand, I would have forgotten about it. So this is perfect.
Awesome, man. So how's everything, man? Obviously, been a few months since you fought. Big one coming up on Friday.
Yeah, man, I had such a good time in this camp. It's every time I get a new opponent, it's like unwrapping a Christmas present where you just get to study and everything and watch everything. And it was nice with him because his everything was like 6 minutes long. It was just knockout after knockout. So I got to rewatch his footage time and time again pretty quickly.
I love it. I know we talked, I want to say, after your first and maybe your third or fourth karate combat fight. Obviously, now you've been champion for a while. The knockout to Tyrone Spong, which was awesome, by the way. How has that experience gone? I know you said you loved it when you got over there, but now that you've been there for a while, like, how has that experience been with karate combat?
Really enjoy them. They've been a lot of fun. The pit itself is fun to fight in, but then the guys, similar to the UFC, I always felt the UFC cared about me. I get the same feeling from Karate Combat. Like they want to see me, they want to see the promotion, they want to see the fighters do well.
Yeah. Can I ask, like, going into that Tyrone Spong fight, it feels like every time you do something, Sam, you go in as the underdog. Everyone's like, oh, this is the Sam always not going to do karate combat. You go in there, get a knockout on day one. Then obviously you had the headbutt with the one fight, you come back, knock him out. Then you get Tyrone Spong. Legend, by the way. Tyrone Spong is a legitimate legend. And everyone's like, oh my God, this is the end of Sam Alvey. Have you kind of embraced that underdog role? Like, it just seems like it's just going to follow you throughout your entire career.
Yeah, they keep giving me fights where I should be the underdog against Ross Levine, the most dominant middleweight they've ever had. Against Antonio Arroyo, who looked like he was built out of stone. Then I had Tyrone Spong, maybe the greatest kickboxer. Like arguably, you could say he is the greatest kickboxer who ever lived. The only people he would argue with were in his corner. So it was. I think they're trying to do it to me. They're making me. I am proving myself to be the greatest karateka to have ever lived. They're just making sure I'm proving it to every fight.
Can I ask, I know you moved on and now you're focused on Rebellis, and we'll talk about him in a second, but can you give me a sense of like how big that was for you to go out there and knock out a guy like Tyrone Spong? Because the guy's a legend, legitimate legend of the sport and in kickboxing. Like, you can say what you want to say about like the different rules in karate combat, but like that's literally built for a kickboxer. Like, that's what a kickboxer's supposed to do. And to go in there and knock out a guy like Tyrone Spong, like that's legend stuff right there.
Yeah, it was bigger than I thought. To be fair, when they offered me the fight, I always said, "Sure, yes." And then I look at who they are. Tyrone Spong, I'd heard the name before, but I couldn't quite place it. Said, didn't he have something to do with Rashad Evans? And he was Rashad Evans' coach on The Ultimate Fighter. Uh, and then I looked into him after the contracts were signed. It's like, ooh, this guy's good. It's like, ooh, this guy's made. See, I've never been a huge fan of kickboxing, but then I watched his fights, and I'm a huge fan of his fights. Even his fight, he fought over him. I mean, he just about beat over him. You could argue he did beat over him. And his fights were just fun to watch. So then I got a real respect for how good he was. I knew going into the fight, I'll say, how Francis Ngannou had the hardest punch ever. Prior to Francis Ngannou, it was Tyrone Spong had the toughest, highest powered punch ever landed. And so I knew going into it, like, this guy just has to touch me. And so I got to try real hard to make sure that doesn't happen.
Absolutely. And you go out there and knock him out. And then obviously coming out of that, they signed this guy, Robelis Despaigne, who came in the UFC, had a big win to debut, and then a couple of losses. And you kind of felt like, man, I don't know if MMA is really his thing. He's a great striker, knockout puncher, but it kind of felt like the formula was, wear him out, take him down, things like that. He goes to karate combat, kind of picks up the pace again, knockout after knockout. And I think you were there the night he had the three in a row and you did the face off with him. So what do you make of this guy? Because he's a huge guy, huge power. But honestly, my opinion, Sam, I still don't really know what he's about because he finishes everyone so quick. I'm like, what happens when he gets to the second round?
Yeah, as big as he is, that's what everyone focuses on. He's fast, like surprisingly fast, especially for a big guy. And that's really what I've been training on. I can find a chin, I don't care how tall they are, but the speed that he can whip those hands and the angles in which he throws those hands, that was something else. So that's really what I've been focusing on is how to deal with the speed and his range more than just his size. But yeah, he's had 6 fights with Karate Combat. I think he's only been in the second round once. Everyone else, he's only been in the second minute twice. It's really impressive how he's been able to just line people up and then put them down.
You come from the world. You used to train with one of my favorite people in the sport, Dan Henderson, and Dan
Mm.
had the death touch. Everyone remembers the Dan Henderson's right hand. He touched you with that right hand, you're going down. That was kind of like the death touch with him. I'm curious when you approach a guy like Rebellis, who is just so well known for the power, like so well known for putting guys away. How do you like? I'm not going to get into game plan or anything, but like, how do you approach a guy like that without like fighting him, but not being intimidated or not overthinking that. Just like with wrestling, you don't want to overthink when you're fighting wrestling. He's going to take you down. With this guy, it only takes one shot, but you can get too focused on that, can't you?
Yeah, I'm not focused on how hard he hits. He hits hard, but if you look at the people, like everyone he knocks out, he should have knocked out. Like everyone, they come out and they stand directly in front of him. They let him punch him. And as long as I don't go out and stand directly in front of him with my hands down and let him punch me, I'll be able to move a little bit. I'll be able to make his punches miss or at least not hit where they're the most powerful. A little bit of movement will help me a lot, and it'll hurt him quite a bit.
Can I ask, like, we talk about, like, not even really seeing a second round. Like, is there a party that feels like if you can just escape that first round, like, the fight really does shift in your favor? Because if there was one knock on him in the UFC, his cardio kind of backfired on him pretty badly after the first round. The two losses he had, that was kind of the thing. Like, survive the first round and then get to the second round. And he just didn't seem to have an answer. So I'm curious, do you see a similar path here where, like, if you just go out there and wear him out a little bit in the first round, it gets to the second round, it becomes a total Sam Alvey fight?
Because Karate Combat really doesn't have wrestling, I think it'll take 2 rounds of until he gets tired. I think he'll be good till the third, but I do think in the third he will drastically slow down. The way I've been seeing is round one doesn't matter so much. I'm going to be able to get a read on him. Round two, I'll start picking up the pace. And round three, it'll be a fight. Round three is when I'll be able to start showing off how good my cardio is.
You fought every kind of fighter. I'm curious. I'm trying to remember, Sam. I was trying to think about this in your career. Is he the tallest guy you fought? I'm trying to think. Like, because you fought everybody. Is he the tallest guy you fought?
Yes, I think I fought someone who's six. How tall is Ryan Spann? 6'5"?
Yeah,
And
he's like six
Dalton
four,
Young,
six
he was a
five.
tall
Yeah.
guy too, but he wasn't quite six. Yeah, and that one was about. I fought tall guys. I don't know if I've ever fought anyone who's 6'7" before, but he is that.
Yeah. Does it change? I know this sounds like a weird question. Does it change anything when you're kind of swinging up on a guy? Because we have seen. I mean, you remember Sammy Schilt back in the day, huge guy from back in the glory, back in the K1 days. I mean, he got knocked out and he was like 7'3" or whatever. So I mean, being tall doesn't save you from being knocked out.
Yeah, the problem with tall guys is they fight like they're tall. They don't need their hands up as much because that extra, honestly, that extra 4 inches, 5 inches takes him out of range for most punches. So it's really I gotta attack from I have to time his attacks. I have the time when I'm going to attack, and if I connect, I know how hard I hit. I've got more knockouts than Dan Henderson. Uh, I just got to find a way to connect, and sometimes knocking him down, hitting him in the belly, making him bend over, feints, little things like that can adjust his posture and give me a better shot at that chin.
I remember talking to you a couple years ago when when you first left the UFC and you were doing karate combat, and we were talking about potentially going into boxing. And at that point, like you always pushed, you wanted to fight a guy like Jake Paul. You're like, I want to fight a guy like that. There was so much hype around him, and you were into that. I'm curious when you fight. What I don't want to. I don't want to diminish Robelis' accomplishments, but like a hype machine, he's like a highlight reel. But like, who has he
Mhm.
fought? I guess is the question. Like, what kind of guy? You said he knocked out guys he should have knocked out. Is there like kind of a balancing act with a guy like this where you want to go out there and beat him, but you're also the other side. People are going to say, well, he wasn't as good as we thought he was, or oh, he wasn't. He was a hype machine. He was he was a guy who could get when he didn't get a 1 minute knockout, he can't get a knockout. Like how this sport works, Sam. You never get full credit when you beat guys like this.
Oh, I beat Tyrone Spong, and immediately people are saying, "Well, Tyrone Spong is old. Dude's younger than me." If you would have fought Tyrone Spong in his prime, I'm the same age. So I'll get this win, and it'll look real cool. But on paper, I'll be able to tell people I beat a guy who was 285 pounds. That's who I beat. And I didn't just beat him; I put him down. That's the goal. This is a legacy kind of fight. This is when I'm old and gray and talking to my great grandchildren. I'll be able to tell them, yeah, I beat Goliath. I literally beat a Goliath. I beat a man who was 5 or 6 inches taller than me. His reach is 10 inches longer than mine. It's crazy how long this man is. But they can say what they want, but they'll never be able to take away how much bigger he is going to be than me.
Like, I know you do, like, do you embrace these moments where you like where people are saying, oh well, Sam, he has no chance, come on now, he's fighting Tyrone Spong, come on, he's fighting Tyrone Spong, he has no chance now. Oh, he's fighting Robelis Despaigne, this giant Cuban massive dude, 6'7", 285 pounds, he's got no chance. Do you even get more enjoyment when you beat guys like that, when they're saying, oh, Sam Alvey has no chance?
Yeah, yes, I love it. It is so much fun. And even in my UFC career, I got that more often than not. When I fought a Cesar Mutante, he was the next big thing. He was the next Vitor, and I put him down in 3 minutes. And the amount of respect you get afterwards, it's crazy. It's so much fun going in there and beating these guys that on paper should win, or everyone on the internet thinks is going to win. It's just a lot of fun. And at the end of the day, I only have so many fights in me, and I hope I fight for another 10 years. But your body's going to give out because, time always wins. This is that fight where I'll be able to say, yeah, I did this. I did, and I'll be able to show the weigh-in picture. I'll be able to show how much, and I'll be able to brag about this. I'll be able to admire this for the rest of my life.
I don't know. You got kids, so you're probably not watching a lot of movies these days. I always remember a movie called Wedding Crashers where they're playing football and the guy knocks down Vince Vaughn, who's a big tall guy, and he goes, "Big tree, fall hard." I feel like that's got to be, like, if you knock down Robelis Despaigne on Friday, you're going to be like, "Big tree, fall hard."
Hey, that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to credit you for it.
Sam, you mentioned obviously like you still love doing what you do, and you're still at the top of the sport. I mean, you are now the Karate Combat Heavyweight Champion. Obviously, I remember going back years ago, one of our first conversations when I interviewed you and your wife, when she came off the show and she was your cornerman and everything. I'm curious, like, how does she feel about like where you're at in your career? Not like where you're at in your career, but like in terms of like how long you keep fighting. Because like you said, I want to do this for another 10 years. Would McKee be okay with another 10 years you fighting?
She would. She loves this, and she understands how good I. She believes in me more than I believe in me. When I fought Tyrone Spong, she said, "Yeah, okay." When I fought Rebellis, yeah, okay. When I fought Rashad Evans, yeah, okay. I said, "Let's go out and do that." She understands how good I am, how much work I put into this, and how honestly, against all odds, I'm good at this. I'm a band nerd at heart. I shouldn't be as good as I am. I've just proven everyone wrong so many times that she doesn't believe what everyone else is always convinced of.
Now you have kids at a variety of ages. How well do your kids understand what dad does now?
Oh, they love it. They love it. I get home and say, "Hey, can I wear your belt to school tomorrow?" I said, "Yes, you can. You make sure to tell everyone." And that is they admire what I do so much. They I hope they don't ever do what I do, but I hope they could if they wanted to. And they just get a kick out of it.
I was going to ask, have you gotten your kids into martial arts? Because they can do martial arts without having to fight.
Yeah, all of my kids were at the gym before they went home. They were born. We went to the gym. We came home. They live in the gym. They're all in wrestling right now. They'll be in jujitsu after that. They all kickbox. They do it all.
Now I know you train a lot of different places. Did I see? Were you primarily in Vegas for this one?
Yeah, so the first half of my camp, I was out at Guardian MMA in Tennessee. That's my home gym. But you got to go where there's big people, and it's hard to find the big people. The Extreme Couture has a gym on them. They've got people at every weight class, bigger than me, smaller than me, same size. And so I got out there, and I've been there for the last month.
How was, I know we've talked before about training out there. I know you love working with Sean Strickland, those guys. How is it training at Extreme Couture, especially when you get a guy like Rebellis, who is, like I said, you're not going to find a lot of guys who are 6'7". I feel like they probably got 6'7" guys like hanging out in the bathroom at Extreme Couture.
They've got so many good guys, so many guys out there that are just big and talented. Sometimes you can find big, or sometimes you can find talented. They've got everything there. I recommend any fighter, any weight class, go out there and train. They've got a room full of killers every hour of the day.
And one thing I've always loved about you, your mentality, Sam, is you've never been focused on one goal. What I mean by that is like, you're not thinking like Robelis Despaigne is the end of the race. Like, he's just the next guy. So like this is a big fight. This is a big opportunity. This is a huge moment. I'm excited for it on Friday. But I know you're not looking at Robelis Despaigne saying, well, this is it. Like, I fight him and I'm the champ and I move on. I never do it again. I feel like your mentality helps you prepare for these fights, because some people build these moments up so much in their mind where they're like, this is it. This is the end of the road. I got this one big fight, this one title fight, and it almost like weighs on them too much. I know you're just like, Robelis Despaigne is the next guy, and then I'll go knock out the next guy, and then I'll knock out the next guy. Like, you've always had that mentality where you've just never let one fight define you.
Yeah, I just enjoy fighting more than most people. Every fighter, so I love fighting. I enjoy that. That is, I am at home in that pit, in that cage, in that ring. That's where I want to be. It just happens to be I'm against this guy this time. Next time it'll be against someone else. It'll probably be the underdog then too. And I'll just keep knocking these people out until eventually I'm the overdog.
I love it. Well, Sam, this is a great opportunity, man. Like I said, I love this fight. I love this match. It's been a long time coming. We knew it after you failed. I love that face off. You're like, I stood up to his nipples. I cracked up laughing at that one. So this is a really fun fight, and I love what Karate Combat does, man. They're fun. You know, they obviously put on great events. There's a lot of good guys who've gone over there and fought, and obviously you're the heavyweight champ. So man, have fun on Friday. Go out there, get another big win, another big knockout, and then don't forget, big tree, fall hard.
Big tree fall hard. I'll make that happen.
Sam, I appreciate the time as always, man. We'll catch up soon.
Hey, we'll catch you later. Hey, I got one question for you.
Sure.
Behind your right ear, there's a movie, and it's a red. What is that?
That is Hell House LLC. It's a found footage. Yeah, it's a horror movie. Yeah, it's a VHS, actually.
See, kind of had that Silence of the Lambs butterfly on the mouth, but it was the wrong color, so I was curious. It was good. It was eye catching. Like my eye kept going. I want to know what that is.
Yeah, it's a random VHS tape in my collection. I kind of have it stuck back there.
All right, no, it's great. It's well placed.
I love it. Well, I appreciate it as always, Sam. Like I said, we'll catch up after another big knockout.
Sounds great, my friend. You have a good one.